My name is Justin Neal. I'm a member of the Parent Equity Council in Monona Grove. Our council grew out of discussions that the district and school board had regarding To Kill a Mockingbird a couple years ago. As a minority with children in the district, it was disheartening to feel as though another group of white leaders were deciding the best way to teach our history to us. We may have taken a loss, but we weren't about to sit silently and accept defeat. We took action, just like we're taking action today. A small group of parents from Cottage Grove reached out to the superintendent and the equity coordinator in the district to follow up after the decisions were made by the school board. We met and then we continued to meet to discuss our family's experiences in the district. When it became obvious that these were important meetings that impacted the lives of students throughout the district, we expanded to include Monona parents of color. We've got about 15 parents on the council right now with students of color in the district, and we meet on a monthly basis. So last week we held a virtual meeting, and with all that's going on across the country and across the world, right here in our community, we decided it was time for us to get our names out there and to do something. So we organized this protest today. And I gotta tell you, I never would have imagined this many people attending. I was hoping for a few. We got a lot more. So what I see out here today, what I'm suddenly seeing across the county, the state, the nation, the entire world, people are fed up. People are tired, man. People are tired of the disproportionate rate in which blacks are suspended in schools. People are tired of blacks having access to lower quality health care. People are tired of watching blacks, and especially black males, targeted by police officers and the victims of police brutality. People are tired of watching black males arrested at alarming rates, and we're ready for change. I've been ready for change. We've been ready for change, but we need everyone to be tired. We need everyone to be ready for change. So I'm asking each of you right now, are you ready for change? Yeah! What action can you take? How can you be part of the solution? And that's a question I keep getting asked since I put this protest out on Facebook. People keep asking, how can I help? How can I be part of the solution? But before I can answer that question, I think it's important to ask yourself, how have you contributed to the problem? How have you ignored injustices? How has your unconscious bias kept you from contributing to our lack of quality education, my increased chance of arrest and incarceration, and my children's risk of being called the N-word in their own community? As soon as you can see the world from the perspective of a person of color, only then will you know how you can help. So the next time I walk into Dollar General in Cottage Grove, a minute from my own house, and your manager tells you to follow me around, which has happened, I know because I asked the employee, why are you following me around? And she told me, my manager told me to. Only then will you stand up and fight back. Only then will you acknowledge it for what it is and call it out for racist behavior based on outdated stereotypes. So then the next time a black male asks you to leash your dog, or a black male is standing on the porch of his own home, your immediate reaction isn't to call the police. So the next time a group of black kids are walking around your neighborhood, going door to door, asking for donations for their mentor program, you don't immediately run to social media and ask your local Facebook friends if they're legit. This happens. Instead, take a moment, talk to these individuals, and learn from those experiences. Embrace those that don't look like you, and celebrate their cultural differences. These aren't big things that I'm asking of you, but it takes a big person to recognize their own bias, to be comfortable with that bias, and to be brave enough to change. It's only then, when we will embrace these changes, that we will begin to reprogram a system that makes black males synonymous with criminal activity. now hear from several members of our community. We're going to hear from students, teacher, and family members, parents. Black Lives Matter.
I'm going to start by saying you coming out here and marching, it's not enough. It's nice to see you out here and it means a lot, but there's much more to do than marching and walking. So with this incident that happened last week, a lot of you guys have heard, you know, and this situation could have been avoided. And you know, it's a policing issue and it's a community issue. Like I said last week, you know, a neighbor called the police on Keontae for standing on the porch, for being a black man standing in a porch in a predominantly white neighborhood. Out of fear, they called the cops. And what I said last week was to challenge members of our community to not be afraid to go talk to that black person in your neighborhood just because they're unfamiliar and they have a darker skin complexion than you. All it takes is you going over there and saying hello, asking how they're doing, introducing yourselves, and this could have been avoided. So my challenge to you is to go out and get uncomfortable and talk to someone who doesn't look like you, because you'll find out you'll actually have a lot in common. And then as far as the incident with the policing, you know, this is nothing new. We've seen this around our country for years and years now, and you know that it's gotten a lot of media attention today versus what it would have got 20 years ago or 15 years ago or even 10 years ago from today. And you know, what I told everybody last week who came out was that, you know, it's about us going to these police stations and getting these procedures and these protocols changed, because that's the response that these police officers are given, that they're following protocol. And some of these protocols are not appropriate. It's not appropriate to walk into a house with your guns drawn, pointing them at a black man, handcuffing him for being somewhere he's supposed to be. That's not appropriate. It's not appropriate to pull a black person over and because they look suspicious, and to stop and frisk. Police brutality is inappropriate. All these things are inappropriate, and we have to be the ones to change it. And it starts by voting. It starts by taking initiative and going up to the police station and filing complaints when issues like this occur. Going up there and telling them what these protocols need to be and how they can change them, how they can fix them, and everybody supporting that. And like I said, it's huge to go and vote. You know, especially us young people. A lot of people think their vote doesn't matter, their vote doesn't count. Your vote does count, your vote does matter. And it's important. It's important to know that you vote for more than just the president. So all these people I see here, I hope to see when election day comes by, I hope to see you voting. Vote for your mayor, vote for city council, vote for the DA, all this stuff you can vote for. Do your research and vote, and go vote, because that's how we see change in our community. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with, and last challenge for everyone here, black, white, Hispanic, whatever you may be, go out and educate yourself. It's huge to educate yourself on what's going on in the world, because you don't learn it in the textbooks. You don't learn it in history class. They don't teach our history. So when you're going to do your research, here's some things I want you to look up, because when everybody thinks of black people and the things they've gone through, they automatically think slavery and segregation. And they think, oh, well, those are, you know, that doesn't exist today. It does, it's just evolved. But I want you guys to look up redlining. I want you guys to look up gentrification. I want you guys to look up mass incarceration of black people, police brutality, all these things I want you to look up, because it's just evolved over time. And these are systems of oppression in our country that are used to hold black people down. and it's going to take everybody educating themselves, their children, their family members, their friends, so we can recognize these systems of oppression and we can knock them down. So thanks for allowing me to speak.
Hello, my name is Jada Turner, and I'm a junior at MG High, and I'm also one of the BSU officers. So I just wanted to share my experience from my childhood. Before coming to Cottage Grove, I lived in Partyville, and I was the only biracial female in the town. As a child, I dealt with teachers dragging me by my arms to school, and they were holding my body so that I couldn't move. Daycare providers used to throw me around, and I got shook by them in front of my mom. And my dance instructor actually pushed me down while I was doing the splits, which then I had to go through medical treatment to regain strength in my lower abdomen. And the worst out of all of them was probably during my basketball tournament, when my coach started screaming and cussing at all the kids, including myself, just because my dad was coaching and she didn't like the fact that he was a minority. And so because of that, my family had to endure racial profiling and discrimination up until 4th grade, when my mom had to make the decision to leave and move for our safety. And so I just wanted to share a part of a passage from the letter from Birmingham jail written by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Oppressed people cannot remain oppressed forever. The yearning for freedom eventually manifests itself, and this is what has happened to the American Negro. Something within him has reminded himself of his birthright freedom, and something without has reminded him that it can be gained. Consciously or unconsciously, he has been caught up by the zeitgeist. And with his black brothers of Africa and with his yellow and brown brothers of Asia, South America, and the Caribbean, the United States Negro is moving with a sense of great urgency toward the promised land of racial justice. And this passage speaks to me and gives me hope that one day, as Dr. King once said, that I can live in a world where all my black brothers and sisters won't be judged by the color of their skin, but rather by their character. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was not wrong when he said that there is always a time to do what is right, and I think that that time is now. And that's what we're all here for, because we want change.
I came to speak about racism in Monona Grove schools. In 7th and 8th grade was the years that I really realized the racism that our school portrays or has. I saw multiple students, usually males, using and saying the N-word because they thought it was funny. When I was at the end of 8th grade, I thought that coming to the high school, because people were more mature, that was going to end. It didn't. The 9th graders at the high school got welcomed in with multiple cases of racial slurs being said all throughout the school. One of those cases was of one of the 9th graders making a video saying the N-word hard R. When multiple black students found out about this, we went up to confront this kid because we knew we weren't going to get answers from the administration. When we went to confront him, he was surrounded by teachers and taken out. When we went down to administration that same day to put in a report and speak about this, we pretty much got our voices silenced. He got 1 day suspension, which we didn't feel was enough, and we got no answers. We got told that he claimed he put it in reverse when they knew he did not put that video in reverse. We still, after that, tried to bring up this case and get the justice that we deserved, but we never got anywhere with it. We still got silenced. That is one of the many cases that people that have graduated or years ago went to Monona Grove High School said that they have had to deal with. Racism has been an issue in our school for years and has never changed. It is our time to make that change. We are tired, and our students, our middle schoolers, our people that have graduated deserve to get that justice. They deserve to feel welcomed in our hallways. It was statistically proven in a a Google Doc thing, that a lot of minorities at our school do not feel welcomed or safe walking through our hallways, and that is not right. We might not be the most diverse school, but our minorities and people of color in our school deserve to feel welcomed. We should not have to fight this hard.
I'm Nevaeh Cloud. I'm about to be a sophomore. And there was multiple occasions when they wrote the N-word on the bathroom stalls. It was mainly in the girls' bathroom. And one day we had to go around the whole entire school and go in every single bathroom and take pictures of it because no one was doing anything about it. All they did was scratch it off, and you could see when they scratched it, you can still read it. And they didn't do nothing about it. They didn't say nothing about it. They just scratched it off and put it to the side like it was nothing. And I don't think that was okay. We tried to, what? The sit out? You don't remember that? No. We did a sit out, so.
Okay, so the day that this happened and that the video was released, the BSU students took it upon ourselves to do a sit out during class. We got all of our members and we went down to this room and we were not going back to class because we wanted justice for what happened. And they were not giving us that. They silenced us. And so we sat and we decided that we were gonna, what am I trying to say? We were gonna do posters all around the wall. We wanted to do a walkout and we wanted to get this to the news, to social media. And this caused the superintendent as well as other teachers and administrators from different schools to take the time out of their day to come and listen to what we had to say. And they listened and they heard and it made a difference.
Hello everybody, my name is Jessica Schultz and I am an employee of the school district. I am one of a few staff members of color, and I want to take a moment to introduce two others that work at GDS. We run the Students of Color Union, and that is a group for students 7th and 8th grade to get together, talk about these issues, and have a safe space. And so this is Danny Johnson and Sean Peters. And we have the pleasure to introduce two of the youngest speakers that are going to be talking to you today. These are 8th graders. They are our SCU leaders at 8th grade. And I just want to say, yes, thank you. Listen to their voices, listen to their truth. The kids that came before, they were SCU members as well. And so this is not new information. This is stuff that they've been dealing with for years. None of this stuff is new, so I'm hoping that you guys can really take this opportunity, this tragic situation, to maybe listen a little bit harder.
Hi, I'm Kylie Daniels. As a student of color, I find myself often in very uncomfortable situations. In most of my classes, there's usually only one other person of color in the classroom. And because of this, some white students think it's okay to say blatantly racist and offensive statements and think it's okay, and it won't offend that many people. When things like this happens, the students suffer little to no consequences. The most they get is an ISS. As well as we are often told how to react or handle these racially charged interactions by teachers who are white, but they don't really understand what it's like to be in that type of position. I think that our school should have more teachers of color, and we should have, so they can understand where we're coming from, as well as more punishment for those who say racial slurs and racially charged statements to students of color, and especially African American students.
I've attended predominantly white schools, so I'm used to being the only person of color in my school or in my classes. The thing is, I don't understand why the school/district doesn't call out students that are blatantly racist, use racial slurs, or make fun of people simply because of their skin color. The school may give them a 1-day suspension, but that doesn't help whatsoever. It isn't teaching them why they shouldn't say things that include slurs or be blatantly racist. It just gives them a free day off to play video games and mess around. The district doesn't call out people, so as students of color, we have to call them out ourselves. But as soon as we do, we are the ones to get in trouble. There has been cases at school where we have had to call out people multiple times for using racial slurs, but they don't comprehend why they shouldn't use those words because they aren't taught why they shouldn't be used. School only talks about the same people every single year around Black History Month. They never mention the meaning behind slurs, and they never teach us why they aren't acceptable. So as students, we have to take it upon ourselves and teach our classmates why they shouldn't use those slurs. It is not our job to teach, but yet we still have to. Okay, what do you... What do you want the school/district to do to make things better? I've never been to a school where there has been a person of color teaching a classroom. There have been substitutes, but there has never been a person of color teaching in a classroom all year long. As a person of color, it is hard to be in a classroom learning about black problems when it is taught by a white teacher that would most likely not understand the injustice and oppression people of color have gone through. I understand it may be hard to find a teacher of color to teach a classroom, but try your best and find one, at least one, for the sake of the students of color in the school. I find it unbelievable that a student is so heartless and can carve in enter in the N-word with the hard R into a bathroom stall and for the district to do nothing about it. I find it unbelievable that racial slurs have been said to people of color and it has been brought to the attention of the district, and yet they have not done one thing to teach students why it is wrong. I find it unbelievable that the school basically had a KKK 10 years ago called the Coon Killers and are still yet to talk about the racial issues. I find it unbelievable that us as students of color had to face some of the same problems that people of color in the 1950s had to face. It is 2020. I thought things would have changed by now.
Hi, my name is Savannah. I'm a recent graduate from Monona Grove. I graduated last year. I just wanted to speak about a few things. When I came to this district in the 4th grade, there's some things that I had to deal with myself. I am black, I am white, I am mixed. My best friend Ollie right here, she is black, she is white, she is mixed. And just because the complexion of our skin, maybe because she's a little darker than me, that gives me an advantage over her just because I'm a little lighter, I may pass as white to some people, I may pass as mixed. It's really important it's important to understand that just because we're a little lighter or darker than somebody, that it gives you an advantage or a disadvantage. And my place in the Black Lives Matter movement, I'll be honest, I struggled with it a lot when I was in high school because they didn't teach about race. The first time that I heard about race, the first time that I had a serious conversation about race was in my lecture hall, my first semester of high school. There was 250 students in that lecture hall. Our professor asked us to put our head down and raise our hand if we agree to this or if this has happened to us. The question that the professor asked the class of 250 students was, have you had a serious conversation about race with your parents or at your school? Out of 250 students, only 10 students raised their hand. That is a problem. If we are not seeing that, you are blind. That is a problem. Okay? My black I support Black Lives because my family is black. I support Black Lives because I have friends who are black. I support Black Lives because I'm a decent human and I understand that everyone deserves equality. It's not enough to say I have a black friend, so I'm fine. I'm not racist. That's not enough. You showing up today, like Torrin was saying earlier, is not enough. You need to show up for your people. In something like this where we're bringing the community together, you need to realize that everyone is in it together. And without you showing up and consistently saying something and making sure that you keep your people in check, that you say something is wrong when it's wrong, that's important. Because you don't understand how many things are said and nobody says a word. Just earlier today, somebody slid up on a post on my social media on Instagram, and we had a long conversation. And me as a person, I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'll listen to your side because I'm an open-minded person. But the things that they would say to me are just, I cannot believe that in 2020 we are still this ignorant. It's not okay. And we ask ourselves, why? Why is this still happening? We can't kill ideas. Ideas never die unless we create change. If you get people to start thinking different, people will move different. I'm gonna say that again. Once you get people to start thinking different, people will move different. They will act different. And that's what we need to worry about. If somebody is ignorant, maybe have a conversation with them. Be civil about it, be respectful, but understand that we can't change everybody's minds. And it breaks my heart that if we do get passionate, if we do, get angry at somebody, that they immediately turn it back on us. This is why, make something negative about it. And that's just wrong. Because how can you tell me not to be passionate about something that we have been fighting for hundreds of years, and it's still not over? Like people have said before, this is still not over. So again, as a community, please look out for your people. Show up, be consistent. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gage, and I am a member of the Monona Grove School Board. I'm also a member of the Parent Equity Group. And I want to say, I am so proud of the BSU and our young people. Let's give a round of applause. They're a great representation of our district, and we could not be more proud of you, your leadership and your courage to stand out against these injustices. This will be a memorable day for you. Please continue your great work in the schools, in your community, and any future endeavor that you have. The George Floyd incident, the George Floyd murder, was a wake-up call for many of us. Watching him suffer, asking to breathe, begging for his mother, is something that we'll never get out of our minds. Today is the day that we cannot stand still and let this continue to happen. I am in awe of your presence. The community, the district, law enforcement, parents, friends, because we're all here for the same reason, to eradicate racism. I want you to think about your purpose. Why are you here? What is your purpose in life? Were you inspired by the incident of George Floyd? Did someone inspire you? Or are you sick of seeing the unfair treatment of Black people that's happening on a day-to-day basis? I want you to reflect on why you're here. And whatever reason that is, you keep that flame burning and continue to fight and walk with us. Yes, you walk physically with us today, but you continue to walk with us. And we need support in the areas of housing, workplace, law enforcement, mass incarceration, and health care. Every aspect of our lives. I am also here because of inspiration. And I'm going to quickly tell you of two people that inspired me. One person is my grandfather, who is still alive today. He is 92 years old, and his name is Elijah. He was born in a rural area in Alabama. In third grade, he had to drop out of school to take care of his family because the only job that his mother could get was domestic help. He had hopes for his future, so he pushed and he got his 8th grade diploma, and he taught himself to read and write. Later on, he married my grandmother, and again, he lived in rural Alabama, so he saw a lot of segregation, degradation, violence, horrible things that are happening to Black people. So a friend told him that in Wisconsin, it was colorblind. That in Wisconsin, there was no racism. So he took his family to Wisconsin, and what do you think he found? Racism. He worked in a manufacturing plant, and even though he was a 20-year-old person, he was referred to as boy and some other choice names. There was no other opportunities. He couldn't go anywhere else because guess what? He would have the same treatment at any other job. So he persevered. He saved his money and bought him a home, sold that home and bought a bigger home. But yet, every day when he would get off work and take the mass transportation, people would look at him like he was dirt, like he was a dog, or he had to give up his seat. Sadly, a lot of stuff is still happening today. But anyways, he's my inspiration because of him, I was the first person to graduate from college. He put his dreams into me, and that is why I stand here today. There's another person that inspired me. I only knew her for 8 months. She was a white lady in Cottage Grove. She made so many contributions before I got to know her. She created the Forever Friends. She created this group to have speakers to speak to our culture, to share ethnic foods, to bring books so we can learn more about our culture. She raised money so that children could have helmets. She also spearheaded the Parent Equity Group, which I belong to today. She is a beautiful mother of 2 beautiful children and a loving husband. Her name is Ann Ahern. As you may know, last year I ran for school board. Not only did Ann contribute financially, but she wrote me. And she said, put a sign in my yard. Even though I will not be able to see you win, I will be up in heaven watching and cheering you on. I'll never forget that. I believe Ann is here cheering us on, and we have to continue her fight. We now have a scholarship in her name, so I suggest if you are able to, please contribute to allow Black people to go on to college. I want you to continue the fight of Elijah, my grandfather, and the legacy of Ann. It doesn't matter if you're Black, white, old, or young. You can make a difference in the community, healthcare, education, every aspect of life. Today is the day to start. Let's be the leaders in Dane County, in the state, and even the world in eradicating racism. Let's walk today and every day to fix this problem. Black Lives Matter.